stuff.
No.
Like
Read
that.
the last. This
The children. Billy and Cindy didn't get after
should be a
him
V
sooner. I was
right
like,
here.
I said,
Read that. That's that. He explains it down here.
Who refuses to get a knee.
I really didn't. I really wasn't impressed with that. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but that's going to be a.
Like sent him an article.
That's going to be a
NIH,
pain in the ass.
Cosmetic procedure that they use so the scar doesn't go down the front. So they can do the cosmetic procedure on his, in his leg, so that he doesn't have that this stuff.
Oh, good. We're going to have a full house.
So I know that they can do it at $4.
Hey, by the way, consider this.
Right now he's busy.
When they're all done, and they all start filtering out, take a break. It'll get the hell out of here.
He should remember that. They've been doing it long enough. Well, yeah, but we've changed our meeting. He's still got 3 minutes. He's fine. As far as I know, yeah, I haven't heard anything. As far as I know, he didn't say he wouldn't be here. allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call for approval of minutes of May.
Could you hold on a moment? I'm having a hard time getting my speakers to turn off,
I had a problem at Planning Commission, actually.
even though they say they're off.
That's the exact same problem we had at
And
Planning
Deb's here, oh, Deb's muted.
While he's waiting, I'll let you know that my colleague and I yesterday had the wonderful opportunity to work with Trout Unlimited roasting hot dogs for the fishing at the Plessy Mount.
That's amazing.
We roasted 180 feet of hot dogs.
Guess how many hit the ground? He's never did.
That's 24 in a pack, and we did 20 packs. From 1 o'clock till 5, 4:30, 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
That's a lot of foot of hot dogs.
450.
Roughly, yeah.
So if anyone asks you how many feet in a hot dog, you got them?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, good, good. Okay, approval of May 11th minute, entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2026 regular meeting.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, thank you. Citizen comment, members of the public are invited to comment on any item not on the agenda. 5 minutes, please. Please note that no discussion or deliberation will occur during this period. Comments relating to a specific item on the agenda should be deferred until that point. After an item is introduced by staff, members of the public may provide comment on the item, 5 minutes. Once the chair closes the public comment period, the board will proceed with deliberation, and no further public comment will be accepted on the item. So, public comment on non-agenda items. 5 minutes, Galen. How are you?
I'm right. I'm Galen Drivelbus, and I would like to request that the supervisors put the Harris Township small rental program ordinance onto a program that is discussable in the near future of your programs. And I'd like to say why, and that is because I know about the small rental program and what you did and what it was, and your ordinance indicates that there were some programs that didn't cause any problems, but the problems were mostly, and it discussed that in your ordinance, that it was in the residential neighborhoods. And I understand that, and I think you solved the problem. But you also created one. You created a problem in the forest and mountain and agriculture areas when you required everybody to have 80% owner occupancy. And now when you have your zoning, different zonings, they have different things to do, because Harris Township is a great area. But you have some of the most forests in any township. You have the biggest amount of cabins in any township, and you have great agricultural lands. They don't all fit a residential neighborhood. And I can give you a couple cases, and that is I have 355 acres on the mountain, and I have a lodge there, but I'm now not allowed to short-term rent it because we don't live there 80% of the time. I'd say the hunting camps are the same thing. Nobody lives in the hunting camps 80% of the time. But what that one thing you put in that 80% for, just for forest zoning and agriculture zoning, keeps anybody from renting a cabin for hunting season. And that really doesn't fit quite right. My 355 acres, I cannot rent it for hunting season, where I could rent the lodge and the 355 acres of hunting ground. I can't do that now. Nittany Farm is 300 acres. And the house at Nittany Farm is vacant right now. But because of the 80% rule in agriculture, they can't do anything for a small rental in your ordinance. And I think your ordinance is okay. I just think it's missing something pretty badly. And when you have ag zoning and you have forest zoning, they have separate things in your ordinances. And I think removing 80% of the required ownership occupied in your small rental ordinance. I still have a minute. Okay. And so I suggest that if you could get us onto your program so that we could have a discussion. I know we're not going to discuss it now. I understand that. But if we could get it onto your program, we'd like to discuss it. And we're not mad about anything. We just think you missed something in here that could help two areas big in your township. Thanks.
Thank you, Gabe. Take it under advisement. Yes, sir. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Lyle Yablonsky, and I'm here with my father, Andrew Yablonsky. He lives off of Scherer Road. I first of all want to thank Mr. Dreibelbus for his generosity to the community and his leadership in this area. I was given the opportunity to purchase approximately 6 acres next to my father's property several years ago, and it's in agricultural land, actually, that Mr. Dreibelbus used to own. I made that purchase, which was a bit of a financial stretch for me, along with one of my best friends from college, and now we are in a position where my family and I live in Leesburg, Virginia. His family lives in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and we are building a vacation home and fortunately or hopefully a retirement property for us in the future as well. But we're now finding ourselves encompassed in the short-term rental issues as well, and I now have concerns whether or not we're going to be able to maintain this property going forward. And so whether it's the ideas that Mr. Dreibelbus brought up regarding the size of the property or how it's zoned, or the amount of time that we would have to spend there, or even the amount of days that it's rented. Now, this is not a money-making opportunity for us. It is simply, hopefully, a way to offset some of the costs by building a place for our families to enjoy in the future. So we appreciate your consideration, and we hope to have the opportunity to speak with you again in the future. Thank you.
You've driven quite a way to get here from Leesburg, Virginia.
Well, I had the chance to play baseball with my father last night at the Teener Leagues, and that's well worth it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Others? Is that it? Thank you, folks. Okay. New agenda items. Pennsylvania Act 65 requires the posting of an agenda on the township within 24 hours before the meeting. Only emergency or de minimis items for discussion only can be added to the agenda. Supervisors, have any items to add to the agenda? Not hearing or seeing any. Thank you. Township business. Mark?
Okay. First agenda item you have this evening is request for traffic calming on Academy Street and West Main Street. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the item, and then there will be an opportunity for Karen Conroy and Dr. Love, who are both here, and they requested to be on the agenda this month for them to be able to speak to you about this request. So then there will be an opportunity for them to speak to you. And then we also invited the township's traffic engineer to come here tonight to talk a little bit about traffic calming, how it works, and just generally policies that are in place normally when communities want to consider.
And there's an opportunity for public comment after you do the
Correct.
introduction.
Right. So,
okay.
Well, I think after Rob is done speaking would make the most sense. So at last month's meeting, the board received public comment from Karen Conroy and Dr. Roy Love regarding their concerns about speeding on Academy Street and West Main Street. They encouraged the board to consider the installation of speed humps to help calm traffic on these two roadways. In early 2024, the township received a written request for traffic calming from multiple Academy Street residents. Several West Main Street residents have also contacted the township in recent years about speeding concerns, requesting that traffic calming be considered. Throughout 2024 and early 2025, township staff had worked on preparing a traffic calming policy for consideration by the board. As a draft policy was under development, the township learned that PennDOT had eliminated their traffic calming handbook and that revised guidance had been integrated into a different design manual. At the April 14th, 2025 meeting, the Board of Supervisors authorized the purchase of 2 radar speed signs. These signs are used to help educate drivers on their speed, collect speed data for analysis, and also count vehicles traveling on township roadways. Since their purchase, staff have collected data from multiple streets throughout the township where speeding concerns have been expressed. As I mentioned, in addition to Ms. Conroy and Dr. Love, our traffic engineer Rob Watts with McCormick Taylor is present this evening to discuss traffic and calming. The board should discuss the request and provide feedback to staff on how to proceed.
So you're going to, where do you go?
Yep.
Okay. And we'll get the engineer then after that.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Karen Conroy, live on Academy Street. I just wanted, if I could, just to do a quick little recap. About 2 years ago, I came and asked about traffic calming, but traffic calming can mean a lot of things. Specifically, I asked about the consideration of speed humps, and not just on Academy Street and not just on West Main Street. There's several places, specifically some of these older stagecoach roads that are straightaways that have no sidewalks, that Bullsburg Pike and Bailey Lane and even Crestview. But Academy Street is one of them because now it's a connector with another subdivision, and West Main Street is going to have another subdivision on it pretty soon and is a connector up to 45. But I just wanted to be clear about that. We do already have some speed humps in the Military Museum, and I think they've been successfully installed in Center Hills Village and the Borough on East Fairmount, and I think it's Nittany Ave or maybe Foster, I'm not too sure, but anyway. Again, with some of these new subdivisions and more people coming here and living here, it's just, and Airbnbs, there is an Airbnb up our street, people who aren't really from around here, and even the people who are from around here, just tend to go really fast on these straightaway streets. One of my good friends said that our village is a unicorn. We have restaurants, shops, a private high school, a coffee house, breakfast places, a brewery, museums, historic places, and we are inviting people to come in and look around and walk, and we're connecting neighborhoods, like we talked about successfully connecting neighborhoods, which is encouraging people to come out, ride their bicycles, take walks, push their strollers. And as a dog walker, I can tell you at times it's terrifying when the rogue person is either on their cell phone, not paying attention, or whatever. In my opinion, putting a new sign up that says a slower speed limit, it's just not going to work like a speed hump would. I also heard about, we can put police officers there. I mean, great, when a police officer is there, maybe people slow down, but I don't think that's so great. Also, just sort of an FYI, there's a website, www.historicbullsburg.com and localhistoria.com, which has walking tours of Bullsburg. So we're promoting walking tours, and I just think somebody's going to get hurt. That's the bottom line. I mean, I was talking to Edie about this, and it's not the amount, it's not the volume of traffic we have. It's just the occasional person who's going too dang fast. And our village, our township is just too special and too wonderful for somebody to get hurt. And especially when there's a solution. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Love?
I am Dr. Love. I live on West Main. Who in here doesn't think Bullsburg is the most special place in State College? Raise your hand. No one, right? Bullsburg is a very, very, very special place. And we're here to try to protect that. And first of all, I've been here for 26 years. Our neighborhood is all getting more filled with young folks and new families and riding bikes like when my kids grew up here. And there isn't a fear of being on the road. As we build and have more development according to the, I'll pull out a fact here. For a single-family detached home, transportation engineers typically use ITE, land use code. Single-family detached housing, a widely used planning value is 9.5 vehicle trips, and so 9.5 times cars will come out of each house. We now have a new development across the street from me. We have a new development at the top of the street. We have a threatening monster in what the Lees do with Bowl Mansion. They sell one of those farmers' fields. They're coming on Main Street. Forever, it gets changed. And so traffic calming, and just this morning, pulling out of my driveway, there's a guy coming down the road 55 miles an hour. If I'm not paying attention, it's a crash. And I don't want to see a kid like when my kids were here getting hurt on their bicycle from this. And I think these kind of things can help protect the genuine, cool beauty of Boalsburg that I think sometimes we're forgetting the people who live here and protecting who lives here and makes this place such a special place every time we add new development to the area. So I'm hoping that we can move forward with traffic calming. And again, it's not just West College and Academy. This wasn't our request. It really was, let's look at the other areas too, and then just discuss what the cost is going to be. These are municipal roads. I know you can't use the fuel tax, but it doesn't cost too much to do that. And I guarantee you the community would fund speed humps and take some of the burden off of Harris Township if the burden is financial.
Where's Rob? There he is, Rob. You're up. You want to introduce yourself, Rob?
Yes, just me. Rob Watts. Yes, Rob Watts with McCormick Taylor. We've worked with the township for going on 18 years, I think. I have 26 years with McCormick Taylor, working with municipalities all throughout the Center region. Many of them. Step up to the mic a little bit more. No problem.
That mic doesn't.
It doesn't broadcast here? All right. I'll have to use my outdoor voice. How's that? A little better? I apologize. My name is Rob Watts. I'm with a consulting company called McCormick Taylor. Been working for them for about 26 years. I've been with Harris Township for about 18 years and working in the Center region most all of that time. Work with many of the municipalities around here. I believe Mark has a bit of a presentation that I'd like him to bring up. The thing we're really talking about tonight, this systematic way of looking at streets and evaluating, do we have a problem? And what sort of fixes are appropriate to really address that kind of problem, is what traffic calming is really all about. It's about the livability of streets. It's about creating spaces that are in tune with what they're really supposed to be, not what they've become. These straightaway roads that you've talked about, there's nothing really there to slow vehicles down. And traffic calming works off of, for those of you who don't know, many of you are already well aware of what traffic calming can do. You can modify the horizontal design of a road. You can modify the vertical design of a road, and you can modify how drivers perceive the road with different signs, different traffic control devices. Road humps, speed humps, what we're talking about tonight, are elongated bumps in the road, not like speed bumps like you saw in the grocery store parking lot back, 25 years ago. These are elongated ways of modifying the vertical geometry of a road to keep vehicles and their comfort at a certain speed. The Center Hills installation of road humps was very successful and involved placing humps at about 450 to 500 foot intervals along that road and resulted in significant speed decreases to keep the speeds under the posted speed of 25 miles an hour. Very successful. And to give you a perspective, on what that costs. Those humps for College Township cost them about $10,000 a hump. That's everything, soup to nuts, design to finish construction, and everything done. Obtained those numbers from Don Franson, their engineer. So that's price-wise what you're looking at. That might have been a little bit high. There's also, with any sort of traffic calming project, there's a transparency component to it. There's a need to engage the residents, a need to evaluate the options, and then follow up and do some sort of study to determine, did we succeed in doing this project? So it's not just what you think of when you think of putting pavement down or, saw cutting a road or whatever it might be. All right. So I'm going to talk to the board here just for a few minutes, and then I want to say to the rest of you, what I'm here to do tonight is to practice what I'm going to preach, and that's listen to what you are saying about the safety of your streets, where you're seeing the problems, and that's kind of my primary role tonight. But in speaking to the board, one of the things that many other municipalities have, Ferguson, College Townships, and State College Borough, they have a traffic calming policy, a written policy on how they approach traffic calming projects. And they're all pretty much the same. They're all based on the old PennDOT standard that, as Mark indicated, has changed in recent years. They changed it to give townships more deference, more opportunity to customize these policies toward their own needs. And that's really their primary goal. And they integrated it into their roadway design manual. The same manual that tells you how to lay out a 4-lane highway also contains traffic calming guidance. So a traffic calming policy is what most townships have gone to so that you're addressing all of the requests you have in an ordered fashion. And the steps are pretty clear. But first of all, you have to ask yourself, do we need a policy? Are you getting enough requests where these 4 things kind of come into play? Number one, are you dealing with things on a case-by-case basis and you have a lot of them coming in or more of them starting to come in? If your decisions are made on a case-by-case basis, are you making equitable decisions? Because it's difficult to do that whenever you hand it on a case-by-case basis. You may also find that the expectations in your community are growing maybe a little bit faster than some of your resources. Okay, so you need a policy to kind of prioritize where you're going to spend money first, second, third, so on and so forth. And then if your staff is spending significant time on repeated evaluations of these kinds of things, there may be a more efficient way to do this via a written policy. So your first step, I don't think, is necessarily writing a policy, but you do have to understand that these things are coming at you. You've seen more than one now, and dealing with them in a consistent fashion is what's going to set you up for success and for transparency and for everybody feeling like you've succeeded in this. So going to the next slide here, what I just want to challenge you with tonight is to think about and understand your approach that you're working on now and decide, do we want to have a bit of an unwritten policy and handle this on a case-by-case basis and try to keep that consistent, or do you want to step toward a written sort of policy? All right. Now, what does a policy look like? It has, I think my next slide shows the 4 elements, and if it doesn't, let's go to that one. Yep. 4 basic big steps here. The first one, you review traffic concerns. Many of you are already expressing these. I've heard some of them go back, 2 years? Maybe more than that?
20+.
Yeah, maybe more than that. So review the recent traffic concerns and collect recent data on them. Don't just go to the old data. Get some recent information from police, from traffic signs, from other devices you might have. And number 2, define your evaluation criteria. One of the things as engineers, you got to have criteria. Well, the cars are going too fast. Well, too fast is defined by how? Criteria. Unique criteria to say it's too fast or it's not. Then you establish thresholds for action. If the speed is greater than this or less than this, we will do this. So thresholds for action. And then 4, you work with your stakeholders, your individuals, your neighborhoods to come up with the solution that's going to work for that community. Not every problem gets solved by speed humps. All right? There are other options, and there are other better things to do, and there are other considerations. Speed cushions is one you might consider where emergency vehicles must get through, because road humps will impede your emergency vehicles. The speed cushions take into account the emergency vehicles and give them a way to get through the neighborhood much more easily. So there's definitely a lot more to understand here. Through this 4-step process, this is what a traffic calming policy, this is the fundamentals. And this is what a board would undertake to set up so that you're handling the criteria the same way. Okay, not to say that every road's the same. You know, a road like Main Street might be handled differently than Academy Street just because they might be posted at different speeds. Or they may have a different cross-section. Or they may have a different density of population. You know, those are all things that are integrated. I said earlier, if you can go to the next one, that there were, yeah, go to the next one here before I talk about that. These are the three municipalities now, College, Ferguson, State College Borough, that have traffic calming policies, have written transportation traffic calming policies. College Township, their criteria for when they say, hey, it's too fast, is when the 85th percentile speed, which is a measure we take from speed cameras and speed measurement devices, when the 85th percentile speed exceeds 7 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Ferguson and College say 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. That's when they will start a traffic calming project according to their policy. Now those are your neighbors. That's kind of what is out there right now, but that gives you the criteria there. So just to give you a perspective, the data that you actually has been collected, we don't need to go into that right now. I did say I wanted to listen. I'm doing an awful lot of talking here, but I think number one, the policy and what you're going to do with that as a board and as a township. I think Mark's already started some good work on that, and I wouldn't take the change in PennDOT policy to change what he has done. What he has is probably very consistent with what College and Ferguson and State College Boroughs goes back to the 2000s, I think. Ferguson's goes to 2015. I think College Township has a similar time frame for there. So these have been around for a while, and they have been using them for a while. The College Township one is what resulted in the very successful Center Hills project I think many of you know about. So these work, and these are tested other places. But now I will turn it over for questions and any other input, maybe for public discussion, because they're
Before
for that.
you do that,
Yeah.
would you explain to everybody what the 85th percentile means? Because I'm sure there's not a lot out there that understand that and what that law.
Good point. Good point. Well, you go out there and you measure 100 speeds, 100 vehicles. Okay, 85 of them are under that speed, and 15 are over that speed. Okay, so it's 85% under that speed and 85. It's a measurement that you get. It's not a criteria. That's one of the measurements you get.
That's under the posted speed.
No, that's just your speed measurement. You go out there, sample 100 speeds on Academy Street, and you come back and you get your 85th percentile speed was 25 miles an hour. That means 85% of the speed samples you took were at or under 25, and 15% were over. Okay, or 15 of them were over.
So it's only 15, it's not 85% are going over the speed limit.
Right, only 15 are going over that speed.
That's now because we've done public comment, 3 of you. We'll open it for public comment. Yes, ma'am. We need you at the...
Yeah, come to the microphone.
Yeah.
State your name.
Name and address.
Lisa Holland, 235 Academy Street in Bollesburg. And I have been involved with this issue from the beginning. You guys have gotten letters from me. I've worked with Mark a little bit on this. And there's 2 things that I don't think get included in the speed issue. One is the narrowness of the street, and the second is the lack of sidewalks. So both of those issues, I think, should be part of the rubric that gets into the decision-making about whether we need speed control, speed calming measures at that location.
Good. Thank you. Yes, sir. You can begin lining up back there if you want to. Yeah. If there are a lot of you, so.
Yes, Bob Cameron, 521 West Main Street. And just to give again some a sense of how long this has been. So my youngest is now 27. When she was in first grade, getting on the bus to go to school, actually getting off in the afternoon, my wife was there in our driveway to meet her. And just as she was stepping off, a young driver came flying by the bus. And luckily, we avoided tragedy by one step. But that's when I began contacting the local police to put up the monitoring signs for tracking what the speed was. And they assured me that this data then would be made available. So again, for 20 years, I would go at different times and say, please monitor this, because again, people were using it as a raceway. But also one of the things, so data is good to collect, but you have to collect good data. And part of the problem, bless their hearts, sometimes they would put the monitoring in the wrong place, put it at the very bottom of the hill when people are just beginning to get that speed up, instead of putting it reverse. Obviously, coming down the hill, they're going a lot faster. So this has been a long-term issue, and I appreciate, again, the input and the consideration for doing something.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Line up back and keep coming. Okay, yes, ma'am. Anybody else over here want to get in line?
My name is Dee Dee Binkley, and I live up on the hill, 708 Bollesburg Pike. And we were here, and we did successfully get the speed limit reduced to 25 miles per hour. Not that that did anything, unfortunately. Our situation is that we have a school on Bollesburg Pike, and the traffic during school year is buses that do not go 25 miles an hour, tractor and trailers delivering supplies to the school that do not do 25 miles an hour, motor coaches taking the kids here and there, parents flying up and down the street dropping kids off, students driving. And again, our road is wide enough, but we do not have sidewalks either. And I do know that we did have the speed monitoring systems on Bollesburg Pike, but again, in my opinion, they were not in the right space. I live right at the top of that hill, and I'm telling you what, in the morning at work time, when those cars are coming up that hill, I've seen numerous almost accidents with people trying to pull out of Harris and going the speed limit and somebody flying up the hill. Something has to be done or someone's going to get hurt. And that's my concern too. We have little kids riding their scooters, mothers walking their dog in their strollers. Let's try to keep our areas safe. We all are outside, especially now. And it's a little bit calmer now because school is out, but once September starts again, this whole craziness just starts right back up again. Thank you.
We have big kids riding scooters.
Hey, let me tell you, we have golf carts, we have mini bikes, we have four-wheelers. You name it, we have it on the pike.
Yes, ma'am. Keep lining up.
I didn't prepare anything to say, but I totally agree with what she just said. I am one of those people pulling out of Harris Avenue onto Bollesburg Pike, and it's dangerous. One of the reasons that we don't have a connection to Liberty Hill is that we have a blind intersection. And people coming up that hill, going to the Catholic school, just fly up the hill. And again, it is a problem with getting good data because the data that they're getting is at the bottom of the hill, and that's not where the problem is. And I don't want to, slight anyone for, somebody made an effort, but it's not good enough. And at the end of the school year, I could count maybe 10 times that I've tried to get out of Harris Avenue and go toward the Catholic school so that I can get on the bypass. And I'm on the driver's side, and they're coming right toward me, and it is very scary. Yeah, they're not going 25. I'm not really sure what we can do about this. I'm not a traffic engineer, but studying it eternally is not an answer. Putting the monitors in the wrong place is not an answer. There's a young woman who has 2 darling little girls on my street, and she takes them for a walk, and they have a stroller and little bicycles. This is really a dangerous situation. That's all.
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
Could you identify yourself for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm Jean Voigt, Voigt, no H. I'm on Harris Avenue.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Name and address.
I'm Linda Mussey. I live at 121 West Main Street. I see a lot of dog walkers out here in this audience. I see a lot of people that have grandchildren that are out here in this audience. And I'm not going to lie to you. My windows are open every single morning. Every single morning, I can hear the trucks just revving up and flying down the street. It is every single day. It is terrible. We lost an animal. I don't want to lose my grandchildren. I've gone past the Love's house. Some guy tried to pass me one morning because I was driving 25 miles an hour like you're supposed to. I hear the traffic person saying that we've got to collect all this data. You don't. I'm telling you right now, I've lived here long enough to know that these people are flying down the street and someone is going to get killed. You guys we have a bike shop. Do you know how many kids ride their bikes on our streets? 1 million of them every day. And there are trucks and cars flying down there. You guys have got to do something, and you got to do it quick. It's out of control. It's out of control. So we appreciate you, and I know a lot of my neighbors are here, and we all have animals. So please don't take so long to do a study. You just get up every morning at 5 and you can hear it, you can see it. Church Street, Academy Street, Main Street. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So thank you.
Name and address, sir.
Kevin Anderson. I live on West Crestview Ave. So while I'm not directly living on Academy and West Main Street, I do run West Main Street quite frequently. And I do have to say, public enemy number one, funny enough, is school buses on that road. But definitely a big concern of mine is the narrowness of the road, speed of the cars going up and down that road. Certainly have to really pay attention. But then also the idea had come up earlier about sidewalks, and I know, at least for me personally, and I'm sure many other people in the community, coming around that corner from Main Street, making that corner past like Blue Springs Park, right before you hit the Bull Mansion Trails into Stan Yoder. I don't know if this is even on the docket right now with this discussion, but thinking about extending sidewalks from that part of town, even just around that corner, and providing more access to the parks in the town, I think would be really important to talk about.
Good. Thank you. We'll get you next, Janet.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's the line.
Come on, Janet.
Yeah, I'm Janet Swim. I'm at 158 Round Hill Road. I don't live downtown, but I'm in favor.
Do the address again, because we had background noise.
Oh, Janet Swim, 158 Round Hill Road. I don't live downtown, but I'm in favor of it. But I wanted to just say that I'm in favor of the policy itself, because I think it could be broader than just downtown. Because it could, people going down Bowl Avenue are in Harrisburg, Harris Township, and people up on Round Hill Road going up to the mountain, and they're just speeding on those roads. So I think the policy is important to get, not just for downtown, but for the whole area. So.
Thank you. Now we got you. Yeah.
Robin Browse, 116 Gimbort. I just wanted to back on to sort of what Edie said here, and to express, we do appreciate what the supervisors in the township did to get that speed limit dropped to 25 on the hill, but as she said, unfortunately it just doesn't work. I mean, there's police there once in a blue moon, but that doesn't change the outcome, and it is very dangerous. Even on Memorial Day, we were walking down the pike, and there's cars lined along the sidewalks, or not the sidewalk, the roadway, because everybody was trying to enjoy the day, and there were people just zipping by, and they weren't unknown people. They're my neighbors, and they're driving at least 40 miles an hour down that road, or what seems like 45, just zipping past people, and very scary. So again, to echo everybody here, we got to do something somehow, some way. There's got to be a way to kind of slow them down. So thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Daly.
Fred Daly, 570 South Academy Street. I didn't plan on talking tonight until they started bringing up about sidewalks. So we're going to bring up my issue from before about people walking on the sidewalks. Township said it's not their issue, and Mark did step up and contacted the borough police, and the police, I guess, are going to start doing it, but it definitely runs hand in hand with what we're talking about tonight. You're going to let these people walk on the streets, especially they're going to walk on the streets where we don't have sidewalks. You got to slow the traffic down. I don't want to wish anybody. It's already been pets killed. Does it take somebody being killed? Somebody killed crossing the walk to go over to the pump station? Oh, then we're going to put in a crosswalk. So are we going to wait till someone's killed to put in these speed humps? Thank you.
Another man. Oh, come back. Come on, ma'am.
I guess I'm next. Lauren Tomash. I live on Woodmont Street. I've been a Wolfsburg resident for about for about 21 years now. So I am very much in support of the idea of traffic calming in general and looking at the township and preserving its nature in a way which really supports what we're doing here. Also a business owner in Wolfsburg, and so I appreciate the space being safe for everyone. However, on the specific topic of speed humps in particular, not traffic calming in general, but speed humps specifically on West Main, I am not a proponent of that. I'm against that. I don't know that it will make a huge difference. It's my daily commute, honestly. I love driving out there. I do drive the speed limit out there. I also run out there on a regular basis, and I don't have a strong experience of there being problems out there. But again, I don't live out there. I would have to change my commute because I don't want to drive over that every single day, and I would be displeased by that. But I think that there is plenty of opportunity for individuals to go slower there, and I hope that the township is able to find a way to work with that, which does not just completely change the character of that road, which has always been a connector route. In terms of the Center Hills example, that road has never intended to be a connector route when it was built, and only became one based on some of the other development that was happening in the area. I can't speak to Academy, even though it's on the other side of the street for me, and I fear that a portion of the conversation is beyond our scope this evening because it is about people also being distracted, driving, being inconsiderate of their neighbors. And so I'm opposed to that, but I am in very strong support of the township developing a specific policy to apply that's research-based. Thank you.
Name and address.
Hello. Kate Reiber, 538 West Main Street. We've lived in our house for about 5 years. We moved to Bollesburg because of the specialness of it. It's walkable. We wanted to live somewhere that was walkable and raise our kids in an area where they could ride their bike down the street to go to their friend's house. I have a son that's 11, and I have twin girls that are 9, and now they are, my son has some buddies up on Crestview and up at the top of Maine, and he can now get on his bike and ride up and go play with his friends. And I love that because that's how I grew up, and I think it's really special that kids still do that. So I just want to speak to Main Street. I think the main problem areas are right where it becomes, there's that straightaway right in front of Love's, where it's a little bit wider, but that's once you get around that blind curve past Blue Spring, that's where people start to pick up speed, go up the hill, and then right past Stan Yoder, it narrows up, and that's where we live. There's barely space for 2 cars to go by each other through there. There's no way, kids can safely pass through there with cars speeding up the road. So with the advent of 2 new subdivisions coming in, sandwiching us, with what each house bringing 9 times in and out the driveway. That's how many more trips up and down this road with people speeding. So I think there's a lot of evidence that this is a common sense approach, whether it's speed humps or I forget what the other term was. But to me, it's common sense. If we want to preserve what we have here, let's do it. Let's make a difference, and let's not wait for something to happen, like one of these kids gets hit by a car on their bike. You know. Thank you.
Going once, going twice. Oh, oh, here we go. Okay, go ahead, Roy, and we'll get this gentleman. Okay, switch around. Name and address, sir.
You know, I've heard that before tonight.
Yeah.
I'm Martin McGann. I live up on Emma Court, 155. I've only been here a very short period of time. My comments have to do more with not my experience driving around town, but I believe it was it Mr. Watson? Traffic engineer? Yeah. There. He mentioned that you need to get the stakeholders involved. Now, certainly you people are the stakeholders, but these are also the stakeholders. And I've heard an awful lot tonight about speed bumps. And as Mr. Watson probably knows, there are more options out there than just speed bumps. So I think it would be very beneficial for the people in this room the next time Mr. Watson shows up to do a presentation to have examples of what some of these other options are. I lived over in College Township before I moved over here, and they were working on Lamont at the time, the main road through Lamont. And there was an effort there to give drivers a perception of the road narrowing so they would slow down. They did that by building parking areas with islands between some of the large parking areas. So I think certainly if you don't want speed bumps on Main Street, maybe there's something else that can be done with the arrangement of curb and then parking and then moving islands into the travel way. There's other things that you can do as well, and I think that it would be interesting for Mr. Watson to put together a presentation to see what some of these other options are, with or without sidewalks being involved in those solutions. So that's the only thing that if I come to another meeting like this, I don't have the experience to say that, boy, people go really fast, but I would like to see what the design options are, and then maybe some of the people in the audience can start to say, you know, we don't really have to do speed bumps. Why don't we talk about these other options?
He's taking a lot of notes, so we'll be...
Okay.
Roy?
So again, for the traffic engineer, what I'd be very interested in knowing, the successful College Township up above the golf course, if it becomes a deterrent also of the amount of people on the street, it's also serving two purposes. One is decrease the speed, and then when people know that there are speed humps, they'll drive in a different direction because they want to get there fast. So if we cut down the number of people driving on the road as well as speeding, we're going to have a safer environment for our kids.
Going once?
I do have a written one.
Oh, yeah, we did get, okay. Well, read that one, please.
I'll go ahead and read this. This was sent prior to the meeting for someone who couldn't attend. This is from Susan Rattenbury and Stephen Rosenberg. They said, we strongly support measures to slow down cars and trucks traveling on Academy Street. Many types of vehicles routinely go both up and down our street in excess of the speed limit. From our house on Academy Street, we can observe many of the speeding vehicles turning out of or into Springfield Commons, including private cars, delivery, and construction trucks, etc. While our preference would be for traffic humps, reducing the speed limit on Academy to match Springfield Commons, which is 15 miles an hour, might also help. And thank you for considering this improvement to the safety of our town's residents. And they, as I mentioned, their names are 241 South Academy Street.
And that was sent by Susan Matheson up on top.
Well, it's signed Susan Rattenbury. My guess is that their email hasn't changed, their alias, but that's their name.
Well,
and
that's
Stephen
the
Rosenberg.
name on this document. So. Okay. Going once, going twice. Anybody else?
So where do we go from here?
That will be when we get into the, now, public comments over, and now the board will get into discussion. Open the discussion for my friends. What have we heard of interest? Where do we want to go? What are the opportunities? Rod's given us some good information. I think a combination of all these will keep the topic moving, and we'll go from there. Rob, did you have anything that you want to reflect back on, or anything targeted?
No, I just appreciate the input. Definitely some common themes.
Bob, can you go to the mic for
yeah.
CNET? Thank you.
Definitely appreciate the input. My wrist is cramping now from all of that, but definitely a lot of good ideas. Agree with the idea that there is not just one option. There are other things you can do. There are realities with costs, but there are programs that can help you with those grants and things, that type of thing. They do take time, but yeah, we can definitely explore some options for you. But I think obviously the first thing I think is whether or not you want to have some sort of criteria, something you can put down on paper, something you can show people as this is what we're going to do. And if it takes some time, maybe with some of the other engineers at some of the other municipalities, I think Mark's already talked to some of them in depth. That would be a good move to get a feel for how long it actually took to get Overlook. It was not Overlook Heights, Center Hills Village. Get that project done.
I assume some of these options are laborious kind of things.
Not necessarily. But when you start doing a project such as the Lamont Streetscape project, very impactful, was actually a speed reducing project till it was all said and done. That was demonstrated by the before and after studies. I believe, though, it was a long process till they got the design done, multiple grants involved. I think the construction of that was on the order of like $2.5 million to do that stretch. And keep in mind, they had a lot of other stormwater stuff to do, so it wasn't just curb work and things like that. So I think that number's a little bit, shock value. But
well, I can assure everyone that as we get into this, Rob will be part of that discussion, particularly from the engineering perspective. Mm-hmm. So don't go away.
No, I won't. And that is one of the key parts of all of the traffic calming policies, is that you try to deal with this as much with your neighborhood, with the people. And you try to identify who are the people who are speeding on your road. I heard a couple of you say, well, it's my neighbors who are going down through here, or it's the school buses, or what. The more we can not track people down, we're not trying to grab people and vigilante justice here at all. But the more we can target that, the more we can understand who we need to talk to make the best use of time. Because if going to the State College Area School District's transportation office and talking to the director there about, hey, can you coach your people on where these speeds are a problem and what they're going through out there. I know my son goes to Park Forest Middle School, or not Park Forest, Mountain 80 Middle School here, and gets picked up in our neighborhood over in the Lamont area. And he had a new bus driver several times this year. There's a lot of turnover, so a lot of education. And the 3 E's that I had up here: education, enforcement, and engineering. Engineering is the traffic calming. Enforcement, we all know what that is, but then there's also the education part of it that we can work with other, if we can identify the population, go there.
Can your PowerPoint be made available?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. That can be part of the minutes.
You get Mark?
I have
okay.
on my computer, so if anybody wants it, they can email
Can anyone download that off your system?
I imagine once it becomes part of the minutes packet.
Yeah, if someone wants it, they can email me. I can send it out to them as a PDF. Okay. That'd be the easiest way to share it. Yeah.
So that's part of the next step of getting what you told us to the community.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good.
Can I just make one ending comment? This is
can you step to the mic? They catch it. Thank you.
Just one comment ending. This has been brought up 2.5 years ago. I brought it up with Mark a year ago. The data has been collected. This sounds like it's going to be another 2.5, 3 year process to come up with a decision on speed bumps because you're going to make your own policy. If somebody gets killed on the road, it's your guys' fault. Seriously. I mean, it's time to do this. It's clear it needs to be done. And whether you choose other traffic calming, whatever, but this policy we've been asking for a long time. This meeting only took place because we reminded you again that we were interested and this many people showed up. It's time to get it done, and it's not a difficult decision about what to do when everyone, and if you ask everyone on those streets, 85% of them will say people are driving too fast, so we should do something about it.
And I just have one.
Okay. You, Shel, then go ahead. Go ahead then, Fred.
Edie Binkley, and I live on the Hill. I have contacted the school district, not once, not twice, not 3 times. They don't, all they'll do is take a message, and nothing changes, nothing. I've called the police about the school bus. I've called the Curtsy Trucking Company about reminding their drivers that the speed limit is 25. I've done all that. I've done all that work. It hasn't changed anything. Bus 100, everybody knows Bus 100, flies up and down the street. People say, there goes Bus 100. You can hear how fast they're going. The school district they aren't interested in knowing. They're so short-handed, I don't really think they care. They just need to get the buses. And I've called. That's what I wanted to say. I've tried all that.
Okay. Fred will be the last public comment that we'll go to the board.
All right, thank you. Now, as soon as you brought up about the policy and we need to catch up with our neighbors, I think we all of us, just learned that on the last thing that happened with the Airbnbs. Everyone else had it for years. Harris Township said, wow, we better catch up and get on board. So maybe with this policy, we need to catch up and get on board with our neighbors. And then the other comment was about doing something different than speed humps down in the village, making curbing like they did in Lamont. Remember, I heard a lot of these meetings where it was complaints about we don't have enough parking downtown. So you go do what they did in Lamont, you're going to cut down a lot of parking stalls. So,
thank you. Okay, we'll turn it back to the board.
I'll start.
Chris? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start because I share a lot of the concerns. I also live on West Main Street, and I've got 2 kids that are constantly up and down West Main. I walk West Main all the time. The reason I love living here is because of the bikeability and the walkability. I rode my bike to the meeting today down West Main Street, and I'll ride it up West Main with my headlight on at dark. I ride it all the time. I'm a good rider, but again, some things are out of your control, and I understand a lot of the concerns that exist, and I think number one is a policy. We need to get a policy, and I think that's something that we should be able to fast track, hopefully, knowing what our neighbors are doing, knowing what the previous PennDOT policy was. I think a policy where we actually do have something that's consistent that we can look at, and then it's not just a one-size-fits-all solution either. Knowing the issue on West Main on the lower part where there might be room for sidewalks where we can actually get the pedestrians off of the road, I think that works in a lot of places. Kate, right by your place, I know there's sidewalks don't work there. So looking at what would work, on a specific case-by-case basis, it's not really a one-size-fits-all issue, but I know that what makes this place truly special is the number of people you see out every day walking, running, riding bikes, pushing strollers, walking dogs. I think it's why we all love being here, and I think keeping it safe is really paramount for all of us and for all of us that enjoy walking. So I think policy number one, so that we can be uniform in how we approach these requests. We have been, I will say to Mark's credit, he's been doing a fantastic job of placing the speed signs. We've gathered a fair amount of data. We've been responsive to locations as well, because I know when you had mentioned putting it right in front of your place, knowing how I drive West Main Street, that's where I'm fastest. And again, I try to be as conscious as I can about my speed, but I will crack 30 sometimes going down the hill. It's just a fact of gravity that you get rolling down the hill pretty fast. And I think a lot of it is us, our neighbors, we're the speeders. People aren't taking West Main to cut through to anywhere. People aren't taking Academy to cut. It's the people that live in Boalsburg. It's the people that live in Boalsburg. So I think taking responsibility for our own, getting more community input than we have here, being able to really kind of look at it and try to figure out how do we fix the problem, right? So, I appreciate everyone coming out here. I'm happy to see a room full of people. I've only been on this board for 6 months, and this is the first room full I've seen since we did short-term rentals. So I'm glad to see that people are concerned and people are willing to come here and talk about it, and it lets us know that it's something that you all care about, and it's how we prioritize, how I will prioritize kind of what we're looking at. So I guess that's kind of where I am, is I'd like to get a policy in place, and I'd be really, excited to hear what Rob has to say, as far as getting something done sort of quickly that's would work for us, where we've got criteria, like real actual criteria. I'd like to see it done. I know we can't snap our fingers and have it happen, but it's something for the planning commission to really, I think. I don't know if that's something we throw to them or if this is more of an us.
It wouldn't be appropriate for the planning commission. It's not related to our subdivision or land development
So
ordinance.
yeah,
so it would be,
something for us to if we can
review.
start to round up what the specifics of what our neighbors have, if it's anything beyond what Rob had presented, and really start to look at that as kind of what our criteria can be for a start.
Okay, Nigel, we'll start on that end, come this way. I'll put me on the spot next.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way than speed humps, because when you start counting how many speed humps we're going to need, that's going to be 1 year's township budget. If we want to put them everywhere where there's a problem. So there has to be other ways. Maybe in certain locations speed humps would be okay. I don't know. Now I do know the data that's been collected, there actually are, from the data we have, very few really fast cars, very few. Now it may be they see the thing, it's like, oh, we're being recorded. On the other hand, it's still recording data when the light's not flashing. You've seen these things, the light's not on, it doesn't show your speed, but it's still recording the data. I mean, if we have problems with neighbors and we know who the neighbors are, talk to your neighbors, talk to them. I mean, I've very rarely, I live on Kimport Avenue, very rarely do I see anybody going too fast. But if I do, and I'm outside, I'm going to give them a motion to slow down, and normally they do. Yeah, plus 100. I just retired from the transportation department. Yeah, we know who it is, and unfortunately, things don't get communicated clearly there all the time. Call the police. We've got, I know, unfortunately, the way the pike is, we have very little speed enforcement capability on the pike. And so
one big straight stretch.
That's a problem. Maybe the local police could use radar. Well, we could set up anywhere. But there's very little opportunity to get speeders on the pike. I don't know. I mean, I understand concerns. I hope people on cars, like if you're, I mean, it's an interesting test. You maybe see how fast cars are going by making a test with your partner, somebody in your family. Go 25, go 30. How does it look from, standing in front of you, at the edge of the road? Because people may not be going as fast as you might think. I know some of them are. Believe me, I know. And I'm not going to dispute Bus 100. Now, this has been mentioned previously. I believe Edie mentioned it at a meeting previously, and to get the speed reduced on the Bollesburg Pike. Now, I go a lot slower on the Bollesburg Pike now. I wish everybody did, but I'm very conscious of it. I hope we can come up with a solution that works and it's affordable and it isn't going to cause too many headaches. But boy, I tell you, College Township on Oak Ridge and Shamrock, they put in speed bumps and then they doubled them. And it's like the number of speed bumps on those streets is bordering on absurd. It's unfortunate. Like, you can't even drive the speed limit.
People don't drive there now, right?
I know, but well, I mean, I had to drive there a lot. But yeah, it's not as now. People are going through Lamont Branch Road, Lamont all the way instead. So it's just put it somewhere else. Well, yes and no. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm definitely understand people's concerns and hopefully can work something out.
I have two questions. Coming off of, how much traffic do you see coming off from Emma onto Academy? Yeah, it doesn't either any.
I mean, I see quite a bit, but I'm not sitting on my front porch 24 hours a day. So, but when I'm walking, I see a fair amount. Like, I have two corgis. My friend and I take our dogs for walks, and sometimes we go up to Springfield Commons. Sometimes we go Liberty Hill, mostly because Liberty Hill and Springfield Commons has 15 miles an hour in sidewalks. But yeah, there's a fair amount. There's a fair amount, and it's not that it's so much traffic. It's just people go fast, and it's not just a few people. It's consistent. I don't even walk on Crestview anymore. I almost got hit by a UPS driver. I'm not going to go into all the times that all these things have happened, but there's certain places I won't even walk in town, and I won't walk up West Main Street. It's too dangerous. So.
Yeah, okay. And how much traffic do you see coming out of Liberty Hill going through your neighborhood? Yeah.
From Liberty Hill?
From Liberty Hill, coming in from you all, yes.
I would say a fair amount, probably.
It's only one way.
But I don't know.
But no,
They
it's
go
one
in
going in
or
and one coming
out.
out.
So it's
Yeah, coming out, you can come out on the Bell and you can go in through Memorial. Oh yeah, I think people are definitely, who live in Liberty Hill are definitely maybe coming.
Please, just so
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We just have folks step to the microphone.
I'm sorry.
If it doesn't get caught, we can't catch it for the minutes. Thank you.
I feel like some of them get off the bypass at Oak Hall and cut through into Liberty Hill. It's like a little shortcut.
45.
Or getting off the
Getting
bypass
off at
there.
45.
Yes, it is definitely a cut through. Definitely a cut through. Because there is one way in on Memorial and you can come out on Bell.
Okay. I'm not a big believer in tying neighborhoods together like that for traffic purposes. I'm just really not, and that's just the way I've always been. So I find it, I don't like, and Mark knows, I'm not a big advocate for having people from Emma Court driving on Academy. Yeah, I'm just not, because it just adds to the problem as far as I'm concerned. But that's just the way, that's my opinion. I do believe for emergency services and for walking and for riding bikes, I think that it should be open, but that's it for me. I'm a big believer in that. I've made it very vocal. So that's why I asked those two questions. I want to thank you very, very much for calling the school district and for calling Curtsy, especially, and letting them know your concerns and, whatever, yelling at whatever you did. I like to know that at least people are doing it. People are also trying to help. They're trying to help themselves, their neighbors, and everything else. I really like that. And as far as I recognize that on certain roads and in certain places that people will speed. I live in Willowbrook. I recognize that people coming into Willowbrook come in a little too fast. But I also recognize in my neighborhood, I'm not afraid to walk my dogs. at all. I don't want to go up to, like, sometimes around the curve, they're coming a little too fast, we don't have sidewalks, but, still, 95% of my neighborhood, I don't have to worry anything about. So I am certainly, with you on all this. I don't want to be afraid to walk, and you shouldn't have to either. That's my opinion of the whole thing, okay? Moving forward, I can tell you right now, that stop sign that's right there has calmed the traffic in this village dramatically. You know this, and I know this. It's unbelievable what it has done in front of Duffy's. It's absolutely remarkable. It's like the world has changed. We don't have to worry so much about pulling out of the parking lot when there's cars there. There's just, so much better. So I guess I would like to know, besides the traffic, my issue with the traffic calming policy is some of these things with the 85th percentile. I think that in some of our neighborhoods, hitting something like an 85th percentile, I believe that some of this is unacceptable. But I believe in other areas it is acceptable. So to me, I think that there should be maybe different areas, different policies, like I'll just use Academy because it's a 3/4 road. On a place like Academy, I think it's unacceptable that you have an 85th percentile issue at the speed limit it is right now. Because to me, anything that's over 25 on Academy is dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. Whether 25 is dangerous, maybe. But so I guess when I look at the policy, I would like to see a little variability between neighborhoods and what we're looking at. And I would like to see areas that are walked more heavily with no sidewalks be seen a little bit differently than maybe other areas. So I would like to know that we can have something together, have examples, because I think we are owed examples of things that have gone on, what people have done in the area. What options are there for things that we might want to consider doing? I don't know the options. I'm hearing this, and this is the first time I've had a traffic engineer talk to me and everything, and I guess I want to know the options. And that's what, I don't want, could be speed humps, could be this, could be that. I want to know the specific options we have available to us so that we can work together as a community and fix the problem. Because I don't think it's a perceived problem. I think it is a problem. But I don't know the options. It's not my, so that's what I'm asking for from tonight, is to take a look at different options of what we have available to us to do.
Thank you. Frank?
Yeah, sure. That's my notes. I wrote a lot down here tonight, and first off, I want to start with finally, after I don't know how long have we been doing this? 10 years, I got PennDOT to admit at the last thing up here at the church that Harris Township and Bollesburg is a walking and biking community. And that's 99% of the problem around here. That everybody doesn't realize that everybody walks. We put a path in the one park behind my house. My goodness, the amount of people that are walking down there. Everybody walks. Everybody rides bikes. That's our community. Now, if you're asking me what I would prefer, now everybody hold your ears because you aren't gonna like it. I would go. The village of Bollesburg would be a walking community. There would be no motorized vehicles. I believe that that's what this community is and what I would like. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's probably half of you out there going, this guy's nuttier than a fruitcake. But I'm telling you that's my mentality when I look at these things. But that being said, I really do believe we're going to need a policy. And it's not something I think should take 5 years to do. I think it's something we should be able to do relatively quickly. But that reason I said that is I heard a lot of relative terms tonight. We got to have the real numbers. We got to have some kind of criteria, some kind of metrics that define what we do. Speed humps are going to be here when it's this metric. Painted crosswalks when it's this metric, whatever. But I think we need to have that, written down so we don't just piecemeal go out and just start shotgunning and getting a lot of thumbs. So I think I like doing that. And I do believe that a lot of this, and by the way, a lot of the sidewalk issues, and even Academy Street to that mention is the layout of the village. Let's remember when it was laid out, and some of this stuff we're actually stuck with, and it's going to be very difficult to make it wider. You look right here to come out of Academy Street. If we wanted to make that vision lane to see where, if you wanted to open that up, somebody's going to lose a property. So we've got that to deal with. So that's got to be part of the policy. We've got to figure out how to do all that. But the other thing is, in 2016, this board passed a small area business plan. And we really liked it. Everybody liked it. We had a lot of community involvement. And part of that was this road right out here, Bow Avenue. So we have a racetrack out there, and we've been trying to slow that racetrack down for as long as I've been on the board. And PennDOT told us that the people in the community, when they did a survey, weren't for it. Okay, so fine. But if you think about it, people are driving on the racetrack, whether they're a resident or somebody passing through, and they turn to come off that racetrack, they don't realize there's a pit road speed. So they're coming off the racetrack, especially coming down Main Street. They come off of 45 and just fly down Main Street. So I think that's part of what we have to resolve that, and that's going to be hard. You know, we can do all this stuff, but that does not necessarily make it that everybody's going to abide by it. And that's my last comment is, in this policy, we better have some good deterrence. And maybe, I don't know what our power is to do, but maybe we talk to the State College Police or whatever and say, hey, look, you caught speeding on these streets in Boalsburg, we want the fine tripled, doubled, whatever. And I don't know if we can do that or not, but we've got to have a good, hard deterrent. And if we don't, anything we do is just going to be a moot. Somebody's going to break the rule, no matter what rule we do. So like I said, I think we have some work to do, but I'm open to it. And I think we've been talking about this. We've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. It's time to quit kicking and get something done. So that's where I'm coming from. And I guess we're going to need to roll up our sleeves and get at it. So that's my comment.
Well, interestingly, either from the fortunate or unfortunate position, I live in the rural part of the township. I live on Brush Valley Road, on a state road. The speed limit is 45, and we've had vehicles clocked at 75, 76. So I'm not familiar with this intimate area that you're speaking about. Most interested in Rod's approach with respect to the options, the components of a policy. Don't want to rush into it, but at the same time, I recognize the desire of the group to deal with it. So give us a chance to do that. Otherwise, we won't be happy, and you won't be happy. Maybe we need to form a group of community people, 7, 8, or 9 people that represent communities, represent streets, to work with us. We've done that on other kinds of options. Roy, many years ago, chaired the Open Space Committee. Very successful program. Maybe that's the kind of approach we take.
Yeah, Denny, I think that's a good idea, because we had on the small area business plan, that was done by the community.
Yeah.
In other words, we had a community group we put together. Maybe that's what we need to do here, is have a community group that works through this and helps us with this. So,
have you gotten enough detail to think about where we can go with the local community, how we can incorporate a number of these people, and
Well, that last part was new, so that
okay.
In terms you just dropped that one on me. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's something I'll work on. As Rob mentioned, we have a lot of great examples locally. The draft I had worked on putting together was based largely, at least structurally, on what the other communities had. I hadn't put thresholds in yet. I was just trying to come up with the approach of having criteria that would be spelled out, having a committee that would be put together to help, kind of like the Planning Commission does, but it would be a separate committee made up of community members that would help to review these requests, and having a public input component to make sure that the street involved would be supportive of the change, because if you make a change without checking with everyone, you could have another group in here 6 months later saying, why'd you do this to our road? That was where we were when Rob and I spoke probably a little over a year ago, and he said, hey, look, that traffic calming policy got eliminated, and they moved some things, and they did give more deference. And I think that was maybe part of the deference, was it's not where you can have different classifications of streets defined, where maybe that hadn't been the case before, and something that we would have to put in a policy. But yeah, that's something that I think I have enough input from you on. I'll talk with Rob. We'll decide maybe the best way to start putting this back together. see if maybe coming back to you again with another presentation on what traffic calming options look like while we're working on the policy, just to give you kind of an educational piece of it.
And if there are some of you in the audience that are particularly interested in working on a smaller group, get them out.
Yeah, and my only concern with that, I think it's a great idea. My only concern would be a smaller group could slow everything down. If we start having groups for every street, that would be my only concern if we want to try to get something put together.
Not a group for every street.
Okay, I thought I heard that at one point. So.
We're dealing with a larger area from East Main to West Main, Academy. Well,
yeah,
not Brush Valley Road.
You got Bollesburg Pike.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, here you are.
Okay, I'm Martin McGann again from 155 Emma Court. You're talking about developing a policy, and you're talking about possibly getting citizens involved. But is there any reason why you can't start collecting data now? You haven't.
We have a lot of data.
Is it current data, though?
Well, we've been moving the sign. We've owned the signs for a year. Unfortunately, one of our signs has gone missing. So if anybody, it was taken off of a telephone pole on Academy Street. So right now we only have one sign, unfortunately, but we're trying to figure out if it was stolen or taken by the power company. But we only have two signs, so we typically try to leave them out for a while to collect data.
Okay.
In some cases, we had them out too doing education, where we had them turned on, just where folks said, "Hey, people are flying past here. Can you just put something out to maybe flash to let them know?" So
my only point is trying to do like a dual track. Work on your policy, and at the same time continue to collect data.
Sure.
I don't know if you can you borrow somebody a sign from College Township or the borough or something?
It's
The college police have them.
Okay.
We've
All right.
used theirs before. One of the reasons the board decided to buy our own was because they don't have as many for availability. But we can see if they can lend us one in the end.
I think that the more data you can get, then I think at the end of this, you'll hopefully have the tools that you've developed and the information, and say, okay, this is a high priority right here because of the traffic numbers that have come back with the speeds. So I'd hate to see you put a lot of work into the policy and then say, well, now we have to go out and collect data. So that's the only point I want to make, try to do two things at the same time.
I suspect that if you get into the equipment side, that equipment needs to be certified by PennDOT with respect to the accuracy of data.
Rob can probably speak more about.
It depends who you work through. If you work through an official data collection company that's certified by PennDOT, they must continually keep their machines in calibration, so you can get very reliable data. And whenever we do, McCormick Taylor does a project, we work with one of those companies, a Tri-State Data Collection, Imperial Traffic Data Collection. There are a handful of companies that do this kind of thing.
And we have a company in Cato Park that sells this equipment.
They produce the equipment, and I don't know what their calibration standards are and how they work, but it's a little different whenever you collect information locally. One thing I did hear a lot of tonight, though, speaking of data collection, is the locations where we're getting data, and I think that's one place where we should coordinate with those who are right there on the street to make sure we have the right location. And once we have the right location and we get the data, I think the data is the data at that point, and I think we all need to agree to accept that, assuming we don't have malfunctions and whatnot. But I have collected data on roads for years, set tube counters. I can't tell you how many. I know you have to check them. They are not foolproof, and there are 100 different ways they could go bad while you have them out there in the field. So, the integrity of the data is paramount.
And I met many years ago when we did the first phase of the South Central Center County Transportation Study, working with McCormick Taylor. So that's been 15, 16 years ago.
Many of those traffic recorders were on 322 and 144 and 45.
If you live in one of those what you feel critical area, get to Mark. We'll get the calibrator out there and do some data. If not, we thank you for coming. Keep in touch. If you want to work on a committee, a subcommittee, get that to Mark, and we'll take it from there and see what we can do. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
take a couple minutes.
We're going to take a break and then
While everybody clears.
get back to you on the next item.
Should have known that, Frank. Come on. I don't think I drank enough. No? It's me.
Okay, good. Mark, item B.
So this is a request to require public notification of subdivision or land development plan submission. Dr. Roy Love is requesting that the township amend its ordinances to require public notification when a new subdivision or land development plan is submitted. The Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code currently requires traditional public notices such as newspaper advertisements and mailings to neighbors for certain hearings, but does not mandate any type of notification for a standard subdivision or land development plan submission. Some Pennsylvania municipalities have updated their ordinances to require posting of highly visible standardized signage on the subject property shortly after an application is filed. These signs often include a uniform message, typically referring residents to municipal offices for more information on the application. And then there are some municipalities that require the applicant to post a custom sign that includes details on the nature of their project, such as the total acreage and number of proposed lots or units. So if the Board of Supervisors has an interest in considering such an amendment, the request should be forwarded to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation, and Dr. Love is here as well from the previous item. Should you want to?
He's introduced it. Public comment.
Could you stand at the mic?
Boy, you're it.
So the public comment is that I know College Township, I don't know what other townships require that. It just makes sense to me. I live right across the street. I found out that that development was taking place after asking about it, and I found out about it when I came here, when it was getting approved by you guys, and it had been through 2 planning committee meetings already. So one of the most vested person doesn't know across the street, then most of the other people don't know either. And so if that is, and this is a walking town, people walk by, the first planning committee meeting, they'll want to know what's going on. They may have comments about what's going on. And, you know, I think that is something that we should definitely do. I think there's another concern that, and hopefully I can speak to the planning committee. The planning committee cannot change once a person buys the property. The developer buys the property, they're looking at subdivision rules, regulations, it's done. So when we're looking at our town and the creation of just the effect on Main Street of the 2 new developments that just were approved, if the Bow Mansion sells that property and 100 houses show up and the other lot that's coming is College Township and you guys, that's across the street, you're talking about a massive difference that the planning committee really cannot change. As soon as it's bought, its rules and regulations, whatever they are, build within the confines of the sewer group, but it's not looking at the uniqueness of Boalsburg and how it's going to change. And I'm very concerned about that because you can't do anything. And as soon as it gets sold, and who's going to buy those properties? A developer. You know, the developer bought the property across the street for $150,000 more than what the people were asking. Someone else is going to bid on that as a regular consumer. Are they going to spend $150,000 more? No. The developer is. So yes, that can happen, but the first sign is at least let people know that that's going to potentially happen, and hopefully you can do that.
Todd, you had any background in this kind of public information piece?
No, not really. I know that other municipalities do require this. I think for a number of years we've had some money in the budget to buy signs like this if we were interested in doing it. We haven't to this point. I think there's still a line item in the budget for doing it, but I think there's probably some benefit to requiring developers to post the signs, making sure that we limit it to just the information for the property, not an advertisement for the developer's company or anybody else.
Question.
And that's why I was with what's about to happen.
Yeah.
There. Sure. Okay.
Question?
No.
I don't know, maybe Todd, Mark, whatever, but if I'm not mistaken, when we get a development plan given to us, and if it follows all our zoning and ordinances, we have a hard time saying no to that. So my question is, even if we put a sign out there, is that gonna allow us to do some changes to those or deny those? So all it's really gonna do is inform the public, is what you're saying, right?
It would inform the public. If a plan is submitted that meets all of our regulations, the board cannot deny the plan simply because there's public comment opposing the development. But at the same time, the public would at least be aware of what's coming, and they'd have the opportunity to come and speak to you about what's
Yeah,
occurring.
but I'm sorry, the problem is, the damage is already done at that point. You know, I mean, we've heard complaints in the neighborhood about density already. So my question is, you know, with what potential we have, is it not a good idea to bring up our ordinances at this point and rediscuss the density issue that we have and how it's going to affect our, you know, it all goes together, the traffic calming and everything else, it all works together, and how these things might land on us. I mean, you know, like I said, I go right back to Bluebell. I mean, they had this crap planned, you know, from the very beginning. The density was 1. They didn't allow any change, an acre lot, or more, and that was it. Didn't matter. But we're sitting here with density that our neighbors are complaining about, and I really would like to see maybe a discussion about this at some point to make sure this is what we want and where we're going. And I would like to see the people involved in this as well, because this is your community. And I just see everybody here tonight. You know, when we're going to bring up something like that, I would like to see a community here. I'd like the community to bring it up, because it's the same thing. But if, you know, and I do agree that I'll say this, like before I became a supervisor, yes, you can go and You can get the information if you want to. I can call you for information even now and everything, but sometimes I just feel like there's just not enough out there. And I think that, I really honestly think we can do better.
Well, the reason I brought that up is you'd almost need a sign when the place is being considered for selling. In other words, you know, if the property, we might put in there, instead of saying it has to be when the development plan, it has to be in there so many days before the development plan or before the sale. You know, because if we do that, then people have a chance to see that something's coming in and bid on it, whatever. So I'm just not sure that once the place is sold, the development, it's kind of a moot point. So I don't have a problem with putting a sign out for then, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't have one that is even earlier than that is 30 days before you can put a development sign up, or something to that nature, or before it's sold. I think is really where it has to almost be.
How are you going to do that, though?
It seems unlikely that it's legally enforceable to establish requirements for a property owner or for a developer before they submit a plan.
Well, that's the point. But you know, my point is, we can put the sign up, but it's like trying to put the horses back in the barn. You know, it's already a done deal, and that's really.
Why you have to go after property density issues prior to the sale of these farms or these places.
We already have it on the farms. We have it in the.
Well, if something is going to, like the Bull Mansion, if they sell a portion of their property, then we've got the density issue there. So
I believe that's in the small area business plan. I think we put that in whenever we looked at possibly developing that property. I'm pretty sure it's in the small. It is in the small area.
But is that satisfactory to our community?
That's what the community came up with.
Well, is it satisfactory to our community now?
Could we request Todd to do some communication with the other municipalities and the timing of these and the wording of these, just to give us an idea of what.
Pretty simple. It's probably written right in their ordinance, so I can look at their ordinance and see what they say.
John, is this ever come up in your line of effort?
Yeah, a lot of townships require, it can be as simple as says, sign that says development proposed, see township for further information.
What is the timing of that with respect to where it is in the planning process? Past the planning commission or be prior to the planning commission?
It's usually required when you submit the plan. You submit the plan and you have to post a sign within a week of the submitting the plan.
Okay, that's useful to know.
Yeah.
Well, we can't say no to a plan that's been submitted, can we?
If they don't meet the ordinance, you can.
Well, the problem is what we're requiring now. Again, we go back to, we've got one community that's complaining about the density that they could possibly have, and we've got another person here who has complained about not knowing, not complain is a bad thing, but has mentioned not knowing, and I agree with that too. But really, when it comes down to it, aren't we talking about basically what the communities coming in are looking like, and perhaps shouldn't we be reviewing that in general before properties are purchased? Because as soon as they're purchased, they're done.
We do that all the time. We've been doing that for the last 15 years.
Well, I know that, but now we have a couple properties that have been mentioned. Maybe we should have a talk about it yet again. Maybe we should be talking about it more often.
Well, I do believe that one of the charges we've given to the planning commission is to review our residential zonings. Is that not correct?
That's correct. They had postponed until the comprehensive plan discussions were done, since that will help inform what the zoning will look like when that is completed.
But I would like to see some community input from what they feel based on the comprehensive plan. The areas that aren't developed, what they would like to see done.
And most interesting is
what it looks like.
You would probably get 100.
This exact sign that we're talking about has disappeared from Rocky Ridge.
What sign?
It's gone.
What sign?
The sign that's talks about Rocky Ridge. Been there for how many years is that project?
You mean like the development plan sign that they?
There's a sign there.
No. That's an option for them to put a sign out if they want to.
It was apparently put up by the property owner.
But I think what Dr. Love's asking for is
sure.
before something's approved and they're trying to sell lots, you have a sign notifying the public that a plan's been submitted.
Can we shift this over to Todd and have him?
Let me just chime in. I think we're not talking about regulating what plans happen. I think we're just talking about straight information, right? And I think this is a no-brainer. Just get the information out there.
Yeah.
As soon as the plan's developed, make sure that there's a sign, like a standard sign that we have, and have the developer also put a sign up that has, like you said, just the straight information on the development. It's not an advertisement, it's just what it is. This has no implications whatsoever on yay or nay on any sort of a development.
Yeah.
This is just straight information so people know what's going on, and it's easy.
No, I've seen Ferguson Townships. I've seen theirs out and about when I've traveled. And it basically says that a development plan has been submitted for this property.
Mhm.
Pretty much that's it. And then it has some contact information, but that's
Yeah,
pretty
where to
much
get
what
the
it is.
information.
Yeah.
So, I have a question for you now. If just seeing across the street that the plan has been submitted for that property, is that what you're looking for? Or are you looking for the notification before and the talk about the density and the talk about what can be developed beforehand? Thank you.
Yeah, I would, I think it's critical, phase one, the sign up once the plan.
That's essential. I think Bollesburg should have some teeth in whether, according to what your plans are for the town, and if it's planning, right? You're planning for how Bollesburg stays the way that it is, where it's going in the future, not that every little pocket becomes the next buying spot for a developer because it's in the central zoning. So you have no teeth whatsoever.
Roy, I will tell you, that's the hardest job we have sitting in these
Sure.
chairs.
I'm
Try
sure.
to keep it the way it is. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and I see that, and that's our future, or this is the future is always not better by more and more and more, right? But you cannot, as it stands right now,
Control anything.
say no to anyone once that property is bought, and that's Pennsylvania law.
Yeah.
I get that. So in phase one, yes, it's a no-brainer. Put the sign up. Phase two, a challenge for you in the planning committee
Totally different.
is totally different.
Totally different
And
ballgame.
how do you get?
And I think that going forward, I think putting the signs up is, like, I agree with Chris, it's a no-brainer. But we've got to get review of these residential zones and some of these other things, and modify them, because right now everything we have it's basically a suspect. The only thing I think we get out of, I don't think we'll get an AI center or a data center because we have a 45-foot height requirement. We're not switching, so.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is hard. It is difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see as something being so difficult as to look into what's logically available on our streets. When you take a look at what's logically available, given any kind of purchase of a property and presentation of a subdivision, I mean, you can look at it and say, okay, well, this area right now, we could fit 100 houses in there. And then you say, well, can our streets and can our community have that? Is that going to fit in? Is it going to provide too much traffic? Is it going to do this? And then if it's going to do that, then you can't have a neighborhood of 100 houses, and you have to change the density of that area. I don't understand why it's so hard to take a look at each little area and say what fits and what doesn't fit, or how will this impact the community. We already know how many times a car is going to go in and out of a driveway. We already know where the traffic is probably going to exit. We already know what the traffic patterns are. So I don't understand why it's so difficult to really just take a look at each little different area. We're not that big. So, and decide what should and should not be done based on that. And,
So we will task the two of you to work together and put this.
Why don't you just make a simple? Can't we? It
Yeah.
can be a simple revision to our thing. Let's just bring it to next time and we'll pass it.
Go ahead.
We got 3 here. We got 5 here. We can do that.
I'll add something else here, because why not? Yeah, again, like this is easy, but I think a lot of the concerns we're talking about, I know in January we had Kelly Anderson here talking about the open space plan. I know you're very familiar with the open space plan. It might be time to revisit that if that's what the community really wants, and if that's a priority for the community, it might be worth looking back into the open space plan and a dedicated millage and putting a referendum back on a ballot. I just want to throw that one out there too, because if we're really talking about the center of the village and preserving the space in the center of the village, that's probably the best way to get the community's input. So that's my last.
I agree with Chris that all these things should be reviewed on a regular basis.
We did a lot of work on that. Interestingly, Roy, I have 2 of those yard signs in the garage. Give us an example next month of what we would include in one of these.
Yeah, our plan is to take this to planning commission next week, so if you're interested in talking to the planning commission, I'll be there, you won't, but I'll present this to them and.
Tell them we support it, we expect to see something.
Yeah, we'll try to get some language put together with them next Monday. It shouldn't be that complicated.
Good enough. Item C, I think maybe, John, you're on this finance?
On December 29th of last year, staff received from Pentair Engineering a minor subdivision plan that proposed a small swap of land between the open space lot and the undeveloped portion of the Rocky Ridge development adjacent to Route 45. Rocky Ridge is being developed as an open space rural clustering project and has involved a number of separate sections over a number of years. Following the first review of the plan, staff met with the developer to discuss a process for completing some public improvements in the previously approved sections to allow the existing streets to be dedicated to the township. The result of the meeting was the creation of a developer's agreement, which was recently approved by the Board of Supervisors and is awaiting signature from the developer. The developer's agreement required that the plan status be changed from minor to preliminary so that the street proposed in Section 5 can be completed and offered for dedication, which required the plan to be reviewed by the Planning Commission, which they did at their May meeting. Staff completed 3 reviews of the plan, the most recent of which was included with the agenda as well as a plan sheet. It is the plan on the wall on the left side with the pink and the orange highlighter.
I have a question for Mr. Seth. Has she executed the agreement yet?
To my knowledge, she has
Come
not.
on up, Tom.
But my understanding was she was going to. There were some last minute minor tweaks that were made.
Okay.
It might have been done today.
Okay.
Well, my thing is, I don't even want to consider this till I see that signed. Because, what leverage do we have?
Well, this
I mean, I would want to see it.
Yeah, this is a critical component to being able to give us the street for Section 5. So if this doesn't get moved forward, I don't know that she'll be able to meet her deadline of September 30th for Section 5 being approved. There were some minor tweaks that she requested to the agreement, and they were very minor, and we countered back with what we were okay with, and she agreed to sign it. My understanding is, John said, it may have happened today. I was hoping to have that for you tonight to say, yes, it's been signed, but I have not gotten confirmation.
I had the same information, Mark. I think it was Friday is when the final tweaks were made.
Right.
What happens to the two, I say, cul-de-sacs when this thing is, there's one down here.
Yeah, there's temporary paved cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, what happens when this thing, they go away?
They would go away when the roads are eventually extended.
Okay, when the last swing is done up there, okay. And who are Ashley and Hilbert? What are their name tags into the open space? What?
They bought the open space.
They bought the open space?
Mm-hmm.
But it still has to be maintained as open space?
Yes.
The 50-50 thing that we
Correct.
built, okay. Are they the people that are farming it?
They have a farmer. They're not farming it themselves, but they are the owners that are having a farmer farm it.
They recognize that it has to stay open?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Very much so, yes.
What's the intent of the bright pink triangle?
Just a land swap between the Hilberts and the developer. It was mutually agreeable land swap just because of the way the land lays out there. It's really a very small land swap. There's like a tree row back there that would go into the open space, I believe, and stuff like that.
You're lucky because you were involved in the early stages of this thing.
I look at this and I say, if this is something that needs to happen for what we're looking for, it seems minor, and it seems like it's a move in the direction that we need to move in to do what we want to do as far as acquiring
Any words
streets.
of caution, John, in proceeding with this?
I think it needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming from an engineer, so.
There will still need to be a final plan submitted as well. Once the preliminary is done, they'll have to come back with a final as well.
Just let her know that there'll be no more, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
You would, you want to read the motion, Mark, to get on record and we can decide to vote on it?
Well, I can read that.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'll move to approve the Rocky Ridge preliminary subdivision plan, East K Street dedication / subdivision of tax parcel 25-04-71 and 25-409-100 / revised pedestrian connection contingent upon satisfactory completion of comments from the May 29th, 2026 letter of the Township engineer and the June 2nd, 2026 letter of the zoning officer.
Second.
Discussion? Input, discussion, questions? Not hearing any, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. John, you're on again. Mark, you want to read the item in D, please?
We'll have Todd do it since he wrote it up, so.
Yeah, you're paying me to be here for some reason. It's a Blue Spring Enclave final subdivision plan. On April 21st of this year, staff received from Pentair Engineering a final version of this plan that was approved in preliminary form in September 2025. The plan proposes 7 residential lots fronting a cul-de-sac street connecting to West Main Street. All lots will be served by public water and sewer. One review of the plan has been completed, copies of which were included with the agenda, as well as a plan sheet showing the layout of the development. Some of the infrastructure work is being completed under preliminary plan approval. Additionally, $24,500 of parkland fee in lieu funding is required as part of this final plan. That was actually submitted today, by the way. Staff believe the review comments can be addressed in a timely fashion. Staff's recommendation is moved to approve the Blue Spring Enclave final subdivision plan contingent upon satisfactory completion of the comments from the May 14th, 2026 letter of the Township engineer and the May 18th, 2026 letter of the zoning officer.
So moved. Second? Nigel. I've got a question, John, on the legend that says existing water line with valve. Does that mean that there's a hydrant up here in that cul-de-sac?
There will be.
I
They're tapping into the water line in Main Street and running it up the cul-de-sac.
I was thinking about the distance between the hydrant way down here and then
It's less. I think it's about 600 feet, so it's not.
That's the spacing on hydrants.
And that's the length of the cul-de-sac too.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right about here, the hydrant.
Yeah, you're right, Todd. That's about where we had it at the end of the cul-de-sac.
I kept looking for something that looked like a hydrant. I saw the mailbox cluster, but I didn't see the hydrant. We have a motion and a second.
I have a question in reference to the, I mean, it's not really, but in reference to the parkland fee in lieu funding, okay? Maybe this is something we should also be reviewing, because to me this seems very low for these houses that they're paying in lieu of, where the property is this, it costs this amount of money or whatever. I guess one question, does this amount of money represent a portion of the property, purchasing the portion of the property that would be needed to add a park to that area?
So, our fee for parkland fee in lieu was increased the other year after we did somewhat of an analysis with what data we could find on the average cost of raw land in the township. So we had to, what it is for every dwelling unit lot, or every dwelling unit if it's a multifamily, it's 0.05 acres per dwelling unit or per lot. So 0.05 acres is how much our ordinance requires. So that $3,500 number coincides with $3,500 for 0.05 acres. So you figure that's around $80,000 or $90,000 an acre is what I think it comes out to for raw land. Now that's not always going to be the case. Some properties are going to be more, some are going to be less. We try to find an average to make that fee work. But that's how the fee needs to be structured. Is based on how much it would cost to buy the amount of land that the developer would have had to have given if they had chosen to give us a park instead.
And I think you're pretty much in line with the neighboring townships too. Yeah. That's about the average.
Right.
I guess, so it's raw land purchased, but not the acre. Like if I wanted to go out and purchase an acre of land where this is right now, so you're saying that would cost me $80,000 or $90,000.
That's what the calculation is based on. Yeah, we can't base it off of each individual property.
We can base it on a sale of a property.
We have to base it on. We can't have a fee that's just structured based on each property and how much it's sold for. It has to be based on just kind of an average in the community, because nothing says you have to buy a park right next to this property. You could buy parkland elsewhere. Normally, if the board had I shouldn't say normally, if the board had wanted to, you could have said, we're not gonna take the fee in lieu, we want the parkland. In this case, they would have had to given like 0.35 acres of parkland, which we don't typically want to get anything less than 4 because Center Region Parks won't maintain it. So we accept the fee in lieu. That doesn't mean we're going to go out and buy parkland right next to this. We will use that money to help hopefully improve our parks that are in the area that will benefit these residents. So Blue Spring, Yoder Preserve, things like that. So it's not meant to go out and buy a park with it. It's just meant to compensate us for what we would have gotten in value for that 0.35 acre park property had they given it to us.
And in this case, that vacant land would be part of the Bowl property, because that's adjacent to it.
If you were going to buy a piece next to it, yeah, you'd almost have to buy Bowl or
Well, the one
Biddle.
to the far right.
The Biddle tract, I think it's
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Yeah, Mountain Spring Farm or whatever it's called. Yeah.
I think we had a motion and a second, did we not?
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
I will just add one last thing. Even though these sidewalks don't connect to anything, knowing what we were talking about earlier, it's, I think, important that we start to put the bits and pieces in. So
Thank you, John.
happy to see that.
Okay. You get a start.
Okay, resolution 2612, Mark.
Yes, this is CATA's local match share.
Hey, Mark, I
yes.
move to approve resolution number 26-12, approving the local match share for the 2026-2027 CATA budget.
Second.
Increase of what over the last year?
It's like about $500 for the operating and maybe $250 for the capital. It was very low this year, almost a static budget.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thanks, Todd.
See you tomorrow.
You don't want to stay to the end?
No. Believe it or not.
2601 Outer Drive project, Mark.
Yeah, so this is the paving the remainder of Outer Drive. We did half of it last year. We had $80,000 in the budget. Gleno Hallbaker provided the only bid that we received for $59,985. So the recommendation is moved to award contract 2601 Outer Drive paving project to Gleno Hallbaker in the amount of $59,985.
Motion,
So moved.
we have a second.
Second.
Discussion. Surprised we only have one bid.
Shocked me.
I was too. I know that with HRI being bought by Hallbaker, we may have had one less, but I thought would have had a few more come in the
Yeah.
door. So, but
It's
thankfully,
not a great big project, very capable of a couple other dealers. Okay, motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Keep going, Mark.
all right. So the next up is an appointment to the Land Use Sustainability and Infrastructure Committee. As you know, Lucy and the Climate Action Sustainability Committee have been merged into one committee. The COG is asking that we provide our new representative to them by June 19th. Chair Hammeister was the representative to Lucy, and Supervisor Morrell served on the CAS committee. So
I think they should go out back and come back in and tell us who won.
okay.
Yeah, he looks
Tell us who won.
Yeah, in other words, who's it going to be?
Well, we'll go to the parking lot and do back to back, 30 paces, and throw an ink pen at you.
Okay.
That's up to you two
Motion.
guys. You two,
That's up to you guys.
Well, you may, I'll make the motion, whichever one of you wants it. I don't. that's-
Well, Denny, you're vice chairing right now, right?
I'm chair.
Or you're actually, yeah, you're the chair. So I'm probably planning on continuing to attend. I'm fine if you're
Okay,
the
okay.
official representative.
My only hooker in the whole system, the meeting is on the 2nd. That's our scheduled week at the lake, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I may have to reschedule vacation.
Okay, well then you want me to make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, move to appoint Denny Haymeister to serve as the township representative on the Lucy Committee for the remainder of 2026.
It's slightly changing.
Second.
It's Lucy, not Lucy.
Yeah,
It's
emphasize.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion, have a second?
Tracy got a couple times.
Discussion? I'm not gonna say anything. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, sign. Same thing, good enough.
And before we start H and I have a question. We had this situation come up the other month, and you just were able to do that. Is that something we want to, let Mark have that authority, or do we want to be involved in that?
In what exactly?
In allowing the fire police to be used by other people.
Well, it only takes 15 seconds to do the formal approval by the board, so I personally think we just continue to do it, and if there is an emergency situation, Mark can do it.
It might be best to know what our people are doing in the community. It might be nice to know what our people are doing in the community.
Why? They might want me to come.
That's your job.
They might want me to come there. I don't know.
I move to approve the use of Boalsburg Fire Police on June 14th, 2026 for traffic control for the Ironman 70.3 Pennsylvania Happy Valley Triathlon.
Second.
Yeah. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both motions, aye.
Both motions, aye.
Request to restrict parking on Bull Pike.
You'll need to make a motion on that one.
Okay.
I move to approve the use of the Boalsburg Fire Police for the Wing Fest events at Tussey Mountain on June 11th, June 18th, June 25th, July 2nd, July 9th, July 16th, July 23rd, July 30th, and August 6th.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, second. Here. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Request parking. Anything special about that, Mark?
Parking on Boalsburg Pike. Come on. Bridge to the back entrance to the museum, and on both sides of Memorial Drive, Lee and Old Boalsburg Road during the People's Choice Festival, which will be held July 9th through 12th.
Second.
Is that the same?
Yep.
Structure they did before they moved to the
Yes.
drain?
Same location.
Did you not read that?
Do we have any issue with people parking along West Main, kind of the same concerns that were brought up during Memorial Day?
I'm not sure that we do
Not
for
for
People's
People's
Choice.
Choice.
It'll be interesting to see how, with Bowl City now being out there, if it's going to push more folks to park further out.
Along the
As-
cemetery.
As far as I know, there hadn't been an issue in the past, but if there is after this first year, we can decide if
I'd
we
like
need to make
I'd
more
like to keep
changes.
an eye on what's
Yeah.
going on along West Main there, just
Yeah.
because
I
it
know
is.
it-
I think it's an emergency vehicle situation.
Sure.
Plus with the
There's-
construction.
We've not had a lot of push into the West Main area. We've not really experienced a lot of troubles around Duffy's during the People's Choice. It is, we get some traffic, and we get some parking.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's
concerned
not
just about
real
parking,
pushed.
especially going up West Main where it's kind of a little bit narrower and around the corner.
Are we losing parking with the construction of the museum stuff behind the
It's a
museum?
good question. I talked to John Madison for a few minutes today, but it wasn't a question I got to ask him because
I know they got some construction trailers up there. So.
Right. They may have lost some ability to park cars up there. I do know that this year they're running a shuttle though from Arts Fest downtown down here and back. So hopefully folks will park at one and ride to the other, and then they don't have to find parking at both. So.
And
See how it
is the
works.
Columbus Museum going to do paid parking across the street?
That's my understanding.
So they're going to be handling. They're going to be handling cross traffic.
$10.
They will have some type of security traffic control service out there. It's not going to be the fire police. It's going to be a private
the
firm.
Flagler Force.
Flagler Force.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's crossfit. Okay.
Oh, I didn't get to read the manager's
Manager
report.
report.
Yeah, you didn't vote.
I'll move to restrict parking on the Boalsburg Pike.
We had a motion and a second. It was Nigel and
Yeah, I did
Tracy.
the second.
We just
All
need
in
a vote.
favor,
You guys
signify
beat
by
me.
saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Okay. Manager's report, sir.
Okay, well, it's funny you mentioned about fire police, because I do have one that came in today for Saturday, so I will go ahead and write the letter for that. Over at the Military Museum.
Gotcha.
The Wolf Walk.
What?
Wolf Walk, it's some fundraiser. Yeah, but they didn't realize they needed to get approval. So just a few things I'll point out on here to get your feedback. Doesn't look like we're going to be easily able to have a mid-year work session in July, so I was going to see if folks might be available in mid-August. I didn't know if anyone knows in advance if that's a bad time for you for vacations or
Good time for me.
good time for you.
As far as I know right now,
Okay.
it's a
Then let's
good
have it in
time for me.
July.
August is good for you. Or?
August
I
is
want to have it
much
in July
better.
then.
Well, I'll tell you, my dad has me all over the place in July. I have no idea what his plans are, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go there, do this," and he keeps changing it. So definitely August is better for me.
Okay. I'll send out some dates and then see what everyone thinks. On the backside here, number 9, I did get kind of an informal request from the Nittany Valley Running Club. They hold a turkey trot every year at the Military Museum, and I'm just looking. It starts at the Military Museum, I should say, and ends there as well. I'm looking for feedback so I can at least correspond with these folks. They've asked about a short closure of 20 to 30 minutes for the Boalsburg Pike to facilitate the start of the race. Because in the past, they started, I guess, going out Bowl Avenue, and they would actually have people running down the middle of Bowl Avenue in traffic to try to get in front of other people who are running on the sidewalk. And they thought if they take it up Boalsburg Pike, it'll probably thin out better. My concern was it is Thanksgiving morning. Are you okay with the idea of entertaining at 20?
Do you know what time it is?
I don't know exactly. I think
it's usually like 8 or 8:30.
8 or it's earlier in the morning.
If it was early, I wouldn't have a problem. But if it's like 10 o'clock, yeah, I'd agree with you.
Okay. All right. Well, I can let them know if it's something you're willing to consider. I don't want to put it on the agenda if it's already hey.
Do they turn Elizabeth and go down to Elizabeth?
They have 2 routes. One that's I think a 5K and one that's an 8 or a 10. And they go different ways through the hill and maybe even out Linden Hall Road at some point, I think.
So they would need control if they get on Warner Boulevard and go that way too.
Well, they don't shut those roads. They just run along them.
They run the path.
They don't need it closed for anything.
They don't get into the Linden Loop, 5 Mile Loop?
If they do, they don't worry about a street closure. They just run on the road with traffic.
Those are state roads.
Yeah.
That's a whole different process.
Right. They're not asking for any closures other than Boalsburg Pike is what they were asking to consider. And I said, well, I'll check with the board and see how they feel. But if
run up the pike,
right?
Well,
up the pike.
Up the pike and then down.
Right.
So the section they'd want to close, they probably like by the Military Museum, that section.
That's my understanding. They have not submitted a formal full request, but I thought if there's no interest in even considering any part of it,
it's probably from Bull Avenue up.
I think I wouldn't have a problem if they closed it from basically the first house and to Memorial Drive because there's nothing else there, and neighbors could get out one way or the other. So, and if that should be enough space for them, I would think.
I would think by then it might thin out, run up that hill a little bit.
I would be more inclined to make sure there's a one-way so that people can actually get out.
That's another option. We could make it one-way
for 30 minutes.
Yeah, for 30 minutes. Another option.
I don't want to strand people.
Oh, you're not going to strand anybody because they could just anybody on the hill just has to go up to Mary Elizabeth Street instead. So that section has no homes on it where they want to close it off. So you wouldn't be stranding anybody.
Is the number 5 Randy Clauser issue, is that a new announcement? That's in addition to Donnie, isn't it?
Well, Donnie's not announced he's leaving at any time. Randy is the only one that I know of that is leaving the township.
Right.
But he announced just recently to me that he would be leaving. Randy did. So
any time now.
Well, no, he gave a date. We're going to mid-July. July 17th is when we're going to have his going away luncheon for Randy. So that's the only person that's leaving the road crew right now. And
my question is, how are we filling that position?
Well, we posted it already.
It says it posted it already.
It's posted. I've been receiving applications.
I thought we posted it. Okay.
No. So
wrong posting. Okay.
So a couple other ones I needed feedback on. Number 11. I didn't know if there was any need to discuss the Penn State ARL DRI before your July meeting, because if you want to, I can put it on the board agenda next month. But if there's already consensus amongst you folks that you're supportive or not supportive, we probably don't need to have it here for discussions. I just wanted to see if there was any need to do that.
I'm always in support of sewage over. Let's write a supportive letter to move it over to Innovation Park and stay away from the golf course issue.
Yeah.
Well,
what golf course?
I don't know. I mean, you can write a letter. I think at the same, you have a vote probably coming up in July at General Forum. So really, it was a question of do you need to talk about it before you get to General Forum?
It's not like we have a lot of.
No,
I'd say we can't really say anything much about it. We're all talking about moving the sewer line.
You have a vote.
You're for it?
I'm for it.
I'm for it. Are you for it? You should feel that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You for it? He's sleeping. Are you
I'm
for
fine.
it?
No, I'm not
You're
asleep
what?
right
I'm
now.
fine with it.
He's fine with it?
Okay. Oh yeah.
So we're fine
We're
with it.
good.
So
Okay. I
Make
just
it
wanted
happen.
to check. I wanted to give you the
Make it
opportunity
so.
if you needed it.
Make it so.
I think the golf course issue may be dead.
The only thing that I didn't understand about the whole thing
Make it so.
was, and what frustrated me was, I didn't know that, like, for example, it says that if there's another available property within, like, my comment was, what if somebody else wanted them? And I didn't know that that answer was not, it wasn't stated. And all I had to know was that Ferguson Township doesn't have a property that is available, and Patton Township doesn't either, or they don't want them, nobody wants them. So they can go away. I just, how am I supposed to ask those questions and not, because it says that we're supposed to be able to say, do you want them? But we're not allowed to say that.
I think a lot of those questions are for the host municipality to consider when they first evaluate it.
Yeah, we don't.
If you, as a regional partner, saw a concern that you wanted to bring up and say, hey, there's an opportunity over here, I think that'd be fine to bring it up. But if the host municipality says, no, we still want it here, that's really what those questions are for.
Well, I had Jeremy whispering in my ear, answering all my questions, and it was very helpful.
Five years ago, this was about the Ferguson Township, and they said no on the golf courses. And I'm not sure why it's hit the table again, but it's dead.
They have so much, from everything I've been involved with on those golf courses at Penn State, they have so much going on there that they can't possibly do anything to eliminate this. It's a silly suggestion as far as I'm concerned. Even just a lot of stuff they have for fundraising and all the different sports that use that. Okay. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'll shut up now. Okay, don't be a jerk.
Are you done?
Well, I was going to say number 12, let me know if you want to go to PML Leadership Conference. And then number 13, I'm going to be out of the office the last full week of June, so I will not be at General Forum. And just wanted to make you aware of that. I don't think there's anything coming up on General Forum that I need to be there for. I will also be out the week of General Forum in July, so that one I'll try to zoom in since you're going to take a vote on the DRI.
Okay, I wanted to, number 4,
Yes.
on the amount of citations, when I read this, I said, we don't want to make any other changes to that until we get this up and going. But after listening to the guys tonight, I never thought about hunting cabins. But if you take Penn State football out of the thing, the next biggest thing we have is hunting season here. So I would be not objections to putting that on the agenda or planning committee or wherever it's got to go to look at. Because I never thought about hunting camps.
I'm not. I don't know. I'd have to see a lot of information.
Well,
we're going to talk about this right now. We're going to talk about this right now as far as ag land is concerned and other things are concerned. I need to see a lot more information.
Okay, I think you should go.
Because I can give you 1,000 different examples.
That's fine. And that's something we'll need to figure out. If it's going to be on the agenda, would it only be discussed here first? Because we have a part of it that's in zoning, but we also have part of it that's in the short-term rental ordinance. We'd have to figure that part out.
Well, that's why I'm saying, should it go to planning? We need to get the ball started on it.
Well, I think we need to direct them as to what we want them to
I
look
don't know
at.
if I want them to.
Well, I can put it on an agenda maybe next month, and you can, as a board, decide if you want to have it go to planning, and you can give direction. I will say one of the concerns I would have is, not saying it's impossible, but deciding which properties would be eligible and which ones weren't. We're talking about one that's very large and one that was only 6 acres. Where do you draw the line?
Well,
I'm not okay with any of it on agricultural land at all.
Well, and that's
because
where I think
agricultural land can be rezoned. It can be all kinds of stuff. Now all of a sudden we have a short-term rental on agricultural land that's been rezoned, and now we've got the short-term rental, and now all of a sudden there's a neighborhood developed around it, and now what are we going to do?
Well, and that's where I think it would be important to get direction so that the planning commission understands as a board what you all want them to look at. If it's only one zoning district or both, and what criteria you'd want them to consider.
The cabin issue came up today. Because cabins aren't owned by a person, they're owned by the state, they're rented.
Well, some of them are.
A lot of the ones out there, I think, are leased land, but people own the buildings. But my understanding is they're not allowed to sublet them.
I saw a real estate ad for one of those recently. That's how it works. It's the land is leased, but the cabin itself is owned by the owner.
But I think those on leased land from the state are prohibited from subletting. I don't think you're allowed to rent them out. I could be wrong, but I talked to somebody who has a leased cabin.
You want Mark to put that on the agenda?
Yeah, I think
I can add it for next.
I think we need to discuss it.
We can discuss it. But the hunting camp thing, I don't know. Do people actually rent their hunting camps?
Well, when we get older,
And
yeah.
I guess. Are the hunting camps gonna ever meet,
That's the other problem.
safety inspection?
Yeah, really, what does that mean?
You know,
But that's not our problem. Our problem is
You
I
got a
was just
point
chuckling about
there.
that. It was like, because a lot of them are pretty
As long
rustic.
as they pass
A lot
code.
of them would have to be brought up to code,
Well-
theoretically.
Yeah,
Greg Roth owns one, and it gets inspected.
it gets inspected.
It gets inspected by the forestry people.
Oh, yeah. There's other things out there that do that.
But they-
But let's move into committee, just to get
Sure.
late.
Well, I move to approve the voucher number 2026-5 in the amount of $272, $321.33.
Any questionable expenditures?
Let's get a second.
And a second. Maybe you got a... I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, we got a second. Now you
Quick 7 minutes. Anything exciting there? Too big, too small, anything? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, committee reports. The executive committee met and set the agenda for the general forum. And land use did not meet. Mr. Harden, sir.
Finance meets this Thursday. We all saw at the last meeting what we did on the last meeting. State College Area Connector, nothing since the last open house. And MPO doesn't meet this month, it meets next month. Well, actually, August is our next.
Tracy, Parks Capital and Parks.
I wanted to we had a joint meeting, and I was gonna ask Chris to surmise or summarize the joint meeting. I had an additional comment that's lengthy.
Hey, give me a second here to just pull my notes up. Put in my password. Thought I had it pulled up.
Sorry.
And closed. No, give me a sec.
This was my plan the entire time. You do a better job of summarizing things than I do.
Give me just 1 second. I'm very close to it. All right, so at the joint meeting, I've got my paper notes as well. The governance update, there was, update more on like bylaws and some questions about MOUs and acceptance of parkland. There was the Puddintown Interceptor Special Study update, where kind of looking at where the Puddintown Interceptor is. They're going to need to run, I think, for what's the new campus housing. That's I don't remember what the name of it is, but they're going to possibly need more capacity, and it's going to run through Millbrook Marsh. So there's going to be a special study around that. So looking for comment on that. They gave us their SIGSI requests. We kind of went through those, looking at what they're bringing. They're bringing a good amount less. We spent quite a bit of time on it, getting justification for what they're adding. So I feel like I'm pretty well informed about what they're asking for and why. At least, for Parks and Rec. What else? Went over the intergovernmental relationship agreement and kind of, really kind of focusing on the MOUs being the next big thing, which I'm sure you're
We're meeting here soon to
yeah,
talk about.
meeting soon. What else? Kids camps are all full. And I think that's more or less. The one thing that they did mention is they were approached for a part of the Whitehall Road project. Somebody approached them for farming the unused part of Whitehall, which I thought was somewhat interesting. So there's considerations, and it's being kicked around a little bit. But other than that, that's...
It was good farmland.
Well, somebody thinks it remains good farmland.
Good, okay.
So, Alex, to have my comments? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I talked to Christy, or I mentioned to her, or I asked her, if we have any means of tracking which kids are coming from which township, just to make sure we have a general understanding of, kids coming maybe from a township that is not participating in Park Rec? How do we know who is using this, and how do we know people are paying the appropriate amount? And her comment was that we don't have time to do that. I'm like, well, wait. We have to find time to do, whether it's spot checking or whether we don't need to check every single address. We do have to make sure the rules are being followed appropriately, because I can sit there, because they're asking you to pick what township you live in. And I just don't think that that's right to believe that everybody's going to be doing the right thing, because I don't believe that people in general tend to do the right thing when they see the difference in prices. But at any rate, I did mention that, and I wasn't really happy with the response about that. When they brought forward their requests, when we were going through it, I found it very interesting because it gives you this like net impact. And I'm like, well, that net impact doesn't really matter, because you may have a net impact for 1 year, but what is the net impact every year thereafter? So, for example, when you're talking about hiring somebody to do some cleaning and in addition doing a job, the real impact is $110,000. It's not, oh, you're not going to be paying the $40,000 this year, or you're going to have this one level. It's really, they have a way of putting it in there that I'm like, well, that's awfully confusing to make it look like it's a lot better than what it really is. And that bothered me a little bit. But the thing that bothered me most was the concessions and the taxes that were not paid on concessions. They've confirmed that they owe $32,000 from 2015 till now, and that's fine and dandy. I talked to Rich Frank about this, and I said, I am not particularly concerned about the $32,000, but I said, I do not know Pennsylvania Department of Revenue to be very forgiving. I don't think a letter going to the Department of Revenue saying, oh, I'm sorry, is going to get them out of all fines and all interest on this amount of money. I don't know what the impact is going to be, but I told Rich, I said, I truly believe, and I truly would like to make sure that this money is paid back to the townships via concessions. And that means that they're going to have to come up with some kind of payback schedule. They're going to have to make sure that their business plan for their concessions is such that they cover their costs. I have never seen one thing in concessions that's showing me they're covering their costs. Not one. So now all of a sudden we're looking at the upwards, and we could have $200,000 in this. We don't know. We could have more than that. And I don't think that that's particularly fair to the townships to have to pay this back because of somebody screwing up and not knowing what they were doing when they started doing this to begin with. And in fact, it makes me mad that somebody just decided to go ahead and do this, and they didn't know what they were doing, nor did they ask anybody. So I told Rich, I said, I'm uncomfortable asking the townships to pay something like this, and I would like to set up a schedule to make sure this comes out of concessions totally. And so that was my take and discussion on the whole thing.
Thank you. That's all the committee reports.
Climate action, you didn't meet, okay.
Yeah, climate action.
Oh, okay.
And then watershed commission, there's been some rearrange on the watershed commission board since Randy Brackbill's leaving.
Yeah.
So Kevin Abbey is now the chair, and I'm the vice chair.
Oh, okay. Randy Brown.
Right up the old ladder.
The Belfont gentleman is no longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I got one.
Very briefly, public safety. A couple of the items were came up at general forum and voted on. Were informed the hazmat agreement and one budget amendment, which didn't really affect us, but. The one thing other than the regular updates from staff, is Walt Schneider introduced a couple of budget requests for next year as far as new construction equipment. This is pretty interesting, an inspection crawler, basically a drone that you put in crawl spaces. It'll take, have a live feed video. Well, I mean, he said some of the places they have to get into are pretty tight, and so it's uncomfortable. It's a safety thing as far as the employee goes, having to crawl into a crawl space when he can just set a thing in there to, make sure the plumbing and stuff is in right shape.
What kind of price?
What?
What kind of price?
Does it matter?
No, it's minimal. I forget what he said. A few $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no,
That was
it's like
3,000 here,
But when Wolf says a few thousand,
a few. No, I think he gave us the price, but I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
it's a few thousand for that and 150,000
and then,
for the software.
They need to hire one more fire and life safety inspector for next year. Because of all the new rentals coming on. And so that was it.
And we don't report on the meeting of the emergency management people, do we? The groups that met.
No.
Virtually last 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, we've never had normally I'm the only one who attends it, but with you being the vice chair of COG, you're asked to attend as well.
I just found that out.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll get out of that.
No, normally because it's normally something that the managers and COG chair and vice chair kind of
Part of that was brought up in that emergency management group too. Anyone want to move to number 9?
Move to adjourn.
Okay. Don't need a second. So be it. Thank you, folks. What about signatures?
Oh yes.
Oh,
We get that
I
circulated.
just put my pen away.